tell somebody that they are wrong is called criticism. To do so officially is called software testing. Software testing is divided into two components, that is functional and non-functional testing. Functional testing is a technique used to test the features and functionalities of the system, whereas non-functional testing tests the system for its non-functional requirements. Functional testing tests the way a system operates rather than testing the specific behavior of that system. It tests the system within an environment and how it operates and functions in that environment. Non-functional testing includes testing the aspects of the system such as system's performance, compliance, security, scalability, and also how the system functions under stress, load, high volume, how resilient it is, and its usability. So fasten your seat belts and brace yourselves, for WebLOAD will now be unloaded. Sale, sale, sale. Don't you hate it when you're about to check out with the items that you purchased at a great deal and the page crashes? And with it, your dreams. This tool tests for such scenarios, ensuring that your shopping cart is never emptied without your consent. So how will WebLOAD handle this scenario and generate results which will be used to test the non-functional aspects of the website on the big day of sale? WebLOAD is divided into three modules. First, WebLOAD IDE, where we can create and edit the scripts. Second, WebLOAD Console, which can be used to run the recorded load tests. Finally, WebLOAD Analytics, which will analyze and load test results. So let's get started.
First part of our tutorial, where we are recording a test script in WebLOAD IDE. Once you have WebLOAD installed, you will see the WebLOAD IDE symbol in the list of your programs. Click on it, WebLOAD IDE will open up. It asks us initially what we want to do. We shall click on the Create a New Project option. Basically, the IDE allows us to create test scripts. They are called as agendas in WebLOAD. Let's begin creating a new test script or agenda. Click on the Start button. It opens a dialog box. Here, we can select the web browser that we want to execute the tests in and the base address of the website which is under test. Let's keep the recording options as they are and click on OK. The chosen browser will now open up and the website will be loaded. We can see that the process is getting recorded. We can pause or stop the recording using this dialog box. The scenario is such that this company has a big sale coming up and is expecting a high volume of users. We are testing the website to ensure that it is capable of sustaining this large amount of load. We will simulate the actions of real users like logging in, browsing the items, adding items to the cart. This generates a usage pattern which is as close as possible to the actual usage of the website. Once we are done with the navigations and have the required scenario, we will now click on the Stop button. As we stop recording, WebLOAD starts retracing our actions and creates a list of the steps that we took and develops them into an agenda tree. As you can see, the interface is very self-explanatory. The tabs that were empty earlier are now getting populated gradually as IDE is doing its background processing. The HTML contents of the web page will be recorded here. The JavaScripts that have run in the background of the web pages are getting saved here. These tabs will be used by the testers depending upon their level of understanding and expertise. Here we come to the second part of the tutorial where we are going to use WebLOAD console. Let's start the console first. This module will basically focus on two things. First is the agendas, remember that we created in the IDE earlier, and the second is the virtual clients. The WebLOAD console lets you create load templates which define the parameters of a load test. Here again it asks us our choice and we will click on Create a New Template using WebLOAD Wizard. The WebLOAD Wizard will open up and click on Next. Here it asks us to select between single agendas and mix of agendas. We will select the first option as we are only planning to work with single agendas right now. Select it and click on Next. Now we browse and select the recorded agenda we have saved from WebLOAD IDE. Select it, click on next. Here we select the host which will act as the load machine from which the application is running on. Because we do not have access to the actual servers, the WebLOAD will try its best to make our desktop mimic the properties of the actual servers. Our desktop becomes the load machine, which is a very scaled down version of the actual machine. So in case you're actually doing this on behalf of Amazon, we will put a link of their hosts in this place. If we are stuck at some point or are not able to proceed further, WebLOAD has its own built-in help section, which is at our disposal. When we click on the help button, the User Guide Pro is open, whose interface is very similar to the Windows version and is very easy to use. Now, we will schedule the session. Again, we have two options here, individual and collective scheduling. Individual scheduling will instruct the WebLOAD console how to distribute the load over the load machines throughout the test. Collective scheduling, however, will distribute the load evenly between all the load machines available. In our case, we have a single host that is running on our application, hence we click on individual scheduling. Click on next. This segment is very important with respect to our scenario, since we need to simulate a real-time load. This can be done in two ways. We can either set the date and time for from and to sections to actually decide when are we starting the test, at what time are we starting the test, to when is it ending and the exact time at which it is ending, and we can provide the virtual clients. Here in this case, we can only provide virtual clients to up to 50, because this is a test version. If we buy the actual version, we can add as many virtual clients as we need. The second option is using the load profiler. Load profiler will help us achieve this, where we can select a scheduling module such as linear, ramp up, user defined, etc. These options categorize the way in which the virtual clients will be accessing the system throughout the test. Depending upon the chosen type, the settings will differ. We're not selecting this right now, we're just using the normal from and to option and clicking on next. In Performance Measurements Manager, we configure the performance statistics to monitor and display time in real time during our test session. Here we set our host server configurations, which is required to handle the website load on the day of the sale. We click on Add Data Source to set the platform of operating system. Our operating system is Windows, so we'll go to System and we'll select Windows Platform. Now, we enter the host name of the computer, which can be easily found using our command prompt. We'll go to command prompt and type the command host name. We'll copy this host name and we'll put it. To connect to the host, we need to enter the host's credentials to proceed further. Load templates, we are actually creating load templates right now. Load templates are nothing but a bunch of load settings done to emulate the workload that the application will actually undergo when the real users are using it. This is where we select what we need to actually measure about the host system, such as memory, network capacity, physical disk, processor, and other system processes. Let's select that and click on next. Here we can see the list of the setup configurations we have done so far before we proceed with the simulation. This data can be used to describe the server configuration as the baseline, which will help the network personnel who set and maintain the server. We'll click on close and update, and then we'll click on next. We click the finish button and save this configurations. This gets saved as a template file with an extension of .tpl. Now the WebLOAD console will open and start the simulation. On the console, we see a default report being generated as the simulation is running. Below, there is a log window which shows us the generator, which is the host running the simulation, the client number, which indicates a unique client request. Each client is obviously a virtual client. At the very bottom, we see the elapsed and the remaining time, which indicates the simulation runtime. The default report displays measurements such as load size, hits per second, round time, and throughput with the time over value. Let this run. The simulation is running. Once the simulation is done, WebLOAD Analytics will automatically open up. WebLOAD Analytics brings us to the third and the final module. Part 2 ends here.
Now we come to the last module of this tutorial. This is the analytics part of WebLOAD, where the results are evaluated with the help of graphs that depict different tests. The list of graphs generated can be viewed under this Reports tab. The graphs can be viewed here. All the details with respect to the graph are displayed here. In this section, we generate analysis with respect to several different templates like log time and errors, page analysis, or percentile. The General Sessions report will display information of the title of our test, its duration, and other details that we have entered in the second part. In the Attempted Connections report, the x-axis shows the users and the y-axis shows the time. The green bars display all the successful connections made by the users with respect to show time, and the blue lines varies load sizes. In the response time breakdown, the bar graph represents the response time of website corresponding to the load size. This pie chart shows the HTTP response. This table gives a summary of the errors encountered in the process. This line graph shows the time taken for a page to load with respect to the number of users on the page. This line graph shows the performance of the system with increasing transactions. This load generator graph shows the performance of the website with respect to the number of users accessing it. The network statistics graph displays the performance of various network interfaces. The Windows Platform Statistics graph displays the performance of the website with respect to the platform that it is being run on. Since we chose the Windows system earlier, it shows us the relative statistics. The graph generated conveys the overall performance of the website in terms of the load size, response time of the web page, and the number of hits per second. Here we can conclude that based on evaluation results, the server hosting the application can handle the load which is expected on the day of the sale, and that the website can function as required.